Hello everyone. I hope that you're having a lovely day. We are going to get started on our next new lesson. So we're in this unit that is all about linear functions, right? So we're dealing with those straight lines. We talked about 4 different types of slope: positive, negative, zero, and undefined. And we're going to continue expanding on our linear functions and think about the main form or format that an equation is written in. This might be familiar to you. You may have seen it before. It is called y equals mx plus b, and that is our slope-intercept form. And basically what it means is if we have the slope and we have the y-intercept, then we can find the equation of a line. So you're going to add your name onto this first slide, and when you're all set, push ahead to slide 2. Something that's really important with finding the slope or finding your y-intercept is we want you to be confident in plotting points and working your way around this coordinate grid. So first of all, what we're going to notice is here's our x-axis. That goes left to right, right? And it's the first number in our points. Whenever we're writing a coordinate, it is always x, comma, y. And here's our y-axis that goes up and down. And that is the second number in our points. So when we're graphing, for this first point, we have 4, 6. So our x is 4 and our y is 6. And we see those two meet right there. So this is point A. X is 4, y is 6. Okay? Let's look at the next one. Point B. B is -6 for x, +4 for y. So from our 0, 0, we went left 6 to -6 and up 4. And here is our point B. So you can see how we're using those values on the number line to find where the point is. C is at -3 for x, -3 for y. Well, those two are going to meet right here. There's our point C, -3, comma, -3. D is 0, comma, -5. So we're not going left or right like we did with the other points. We're at 0. We're just going down 5 to -5. And then finally, E is 3, comma, 0. So again, we went to the right 3, but we're not going up or down. So there's our point E. I'm circling the numbers just to show you how we're graphing them. You don't have to do that every time. If it is supportive to you, great. If it's not, that's totally fine. So make sure you get these 5 points graphed on this coordinate plane, and when you're all set, push ahead to slide 3. So in the last lesson, we talked a lot about slope, right? And our big ways that we know to find slope is we can find it graphically, which means rise over run, right? There's our graphic way. And slope is the steepness of a line. So we can determine the slope of line in 2 ways. Our first way is graphically, looking at how much are we going down and then over. Or we could do it algebraically by using our slope formula, which subtracts the y's divided by our subtracted x's. So if we're looking at it graphically first, to go from one point to the next point that's marked up here, we have gone down 3 and 3, 4, 6, 7 to the right 7. So our slope is -3/7. If we did it graphically, or excuse me, if we did it algebraically, we could label these 2 points, x1, y1. That's our first point, right? We always label our points as x comma y. And our second point is x2, y2. That's our point number 2. So we have 1 minus 4 divided by 2 minus a negative 5. 1 minus 4 is a negative 3. 2 minus a negative 5 becomes 2 plus 5, which is 7. So we can see that both ways, whether it's graphically or algebraically, we're going to get that same exact slope. Get everything that you need from this slide, and when you're all set, push ahead to slide 4. Feel free to pause the video at any point if you need to catch up. You're always welcome to do that, okay? Okay, so we're going to talk about writing an equation for a linear function. So we use the slope-intercept form to write the equation of a line. When we're doing this, our slope is m, and our y-intercept is b. So in this graph here, we see our slope from each point to the next is going down 1 and over 2. Down 1, over 2, down 1, over 2. So there's our slope, which is 1/2. Or excuse me, negative 1/2. Our y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So this graph crosses the y-axis at a value of -6. So here's our y-axis going up and down. We're just seeing where does the line hit the axis, right? So when we put this together, we have y equals, and we plug in for m, which is -1/2, times x, and then we plug in our b, -6, or plus a -6, either way. So we could have written it like this, plus a -6. That's the same thing. So we plugged in, again, our slope, and we plugged in our y-intercept. Those are the two key things we're going to plug in when we are figuring out what the equation of a line is. Okay. Take notes, whatever you need on this slide, and when you're good, push to slide 5. So we're going to do another one here. Our y-intercept is b, our slope is m. So looking at this graph, what is our slope? How do we get from one point to the next? You can draw your little slope triangles. And remember, it doesn't matter which 2 points you choose. I like choosing the points that are right next to each other, but even if I did these 2 points, the ones that are furthest away, we'll get the same exact slope. Right, we're going down 9, and we're going over, is it 9? No, not 9, 8. Going down 8, and we're going over 1, 2, 3, 4. -8 divided by 4. We can simplify that to just -2. And you can see that that's what's happening here because we're going down 2 over 1 to get from one point to the next. Notice we always want to select points that are exactly on the grid lines. So we would not want to put a point there. We don't know what that value is. It's somewhere, between 2 and 3. We want exact values. So when we're finding points for slope, we want them to be exactly on the grid lines where they intersect. Okay. Looking at the y-intercept here, it is this line crosses the axis here at -1. So we plug it in. Y equals a -2x minus 1. And again, we plugged in our y-intercept and we plugged in our slope. We're going to be doing this a lot throughout the year, even next year when you're in geometry, algebra 2, like really feeling confident in writing these equations is going to be super helpful as you continue your math career and learnings. Slide 6 when you're ready. Write this equation of a sloped line. Okay? So let's find that slope first. So we're going to go make our little triangle. You don't have to make this triangle. I am a visual learner, so I love to visually see what's happening between the points. I can tell we're going up 2 and that we're going to the right 5. So our slope is a rise of 2 and a run of 5. Our y-intercept is crossing the y-axis, and if you're not sure, here's my y-axis. You can see, where does that yellow and green line intersect? And that's right here at a positive 3. So when we plug it all in, we get y equals 2/5 times x plus 3. And this equation, what it means is we could take any x value and plug it into this equation to figure out what the y value would be on this line. Like, we as humans, we have names. The best way to name a line is by its equation. It's telling us exactly what the rule is, right? The rule for this equation is anything that you plug in, your input, whatever your x is, you multiply it by 2/5 and you add 3, and then you'll get your y value. That's the rule of this line. That's how this whole line is created. An infinite amount of points on this line that are all following that same exact rule. When you're all set, push ahead to slide 7. All right, here's another one. So our slope, connect your points. Any 2 points will do. And we notice that we're going up 1 and over 1, 2, 3. So our slope is 1/3. Our y-intercept is where this green line crosses the y-axis, which is at 0, -2. So when we plug it all in, 1/3 times x, minus 2. Here's the equation for this line. So any input that we plug in, we multiply it by 1/3, and then we subtract 2. That's the rule. That's the rule of how this line is created, how all of the points on the line are created. Slide 8, when you're ready. So when we have a vertical line, remember our vertical lines have a slope that we call is undefined, right? You would not want to walk down that street. You are just going to tumble and fall. That is a vertical slope. It is a cliff. The way that we write equations of vertical lines is always just x equals some number. And to figure out what that number is, we look at any point on this line. So here, this first point that we see is -3, -2. The next point we see here is -3, 0. If we were to look at this point and this point following the line up, here's -3, 3. Here's -3, 6. Notice that every point on this line has the same x value, and that is -3. So our equation is just x equals -3. And that is the equation of a vertical line.